Alright people, so welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series on current affairs. Now today we are going to cover 1 week's current affairs from social issues. As you all know that in our lecture series we cover current affairs subject wise. That way it will be easier for you to integrate your current affairs with your static portion as well. So today we are going to cover 1 week's current affairs of social issues. Like we have covered 1 week's current affairs of economics, polity, IR, geography, environment, right? So every subject will be covered. 1 week's current affairs would be covered in one lecture. Today is the turn for social issues. Now make this lecture series a part of your daily routine because this strategy of covering current affairs would be really beneficial for you. You'll cover all your current affairs and you'll also be able to integrate them with your static portion. That's how the questions are being asked, especially in prelims examination. So be careful and be consistent. All right then, without further ado, without further delay, let's straight away dive into the lecture. So let's begin. So current affairs, social issues, June 2026, part 2. As you all know, we cover weekly current affairs and in 1 month, there are 4 weeks. So in a sense, we'll cover social issues, current affairs for the month of June in 4 parts. Today is part 2. Now let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. Okay, so not many topics are there, not many news items occurred or not many news items were there in the past 1 week with respect to social issues. Nonetheless, these 3 were important as per our judgment. So we'll cover these 3 news items. Number 1 is India's total fertility rate deficit. India has been witnessing a declining total fertility rate. Now this is both good news and bad news. How? We'll talk about it. Then National Family Health Survey 6, version 6, insights on reproductive agency, bodily autonomy for females. Do females have reproductive rights, autonomy over their own body, how many children they should have, when they should have children, or they are still stuck under patriarchal rules, family pressure? We'll talk about this, data from this survey. And then in the end, we'll talk about the telemedicine equity dividend. How telemedicine is basically improving access to healthcare to remotest regions of India. Okay, so we'll talk about this and a government project called eSanjeevani through this. All right then, these are the 3 news items that we shall zero in our attention on. So let's start discussing them one by one, starting with topic number 1, and that is India's total fertility rate deficit. Now you see, India's total fertility rate deficit is declining. This is both good news and bad news. How? To understand that, you need to understand a basic concept. Okay, let me give you a brief background first. You see, every civilization, every country, every society has birth rate and death rate. Okay, now whenever birth rate is higher than death rate, then population expands. And whenever death rate is higher than birth rate, population contracts. And when both of them are pretty much similar, then the population stabilizes. Now, one way of measuring birth rate or check birth rate or one particular metric that impacts birth rate is total fertility rate. Now, what is total fertility rate? Basically, a reproductive age for women is 15 to 49. This is the age bracket in which women can have babies, right? Now, between this age bracket, each and every woman in India between 15 to 49 years of age on average will produce how many kids? On average, all females in India within this reproductive age bracket will produce how many kids is India's total fertility rate. Okay, now listen to this very carefully. When your total fertility rate is 2.1, then we say that your population has reached replacement level. That means birth rate and death rate would be pretty much equal, and the number of people who would die, well, they would be completely replaced by the new people that are being born. The population is going to stabilize. When total fertility rate is higher than 2.1, then there is population expansion. And when total fertility rate is lower than 2.1, then population contracts. Now listen to this very carefully. India's total fertility rate, the national average for total fertility rate has come out to be 2, very close to 2.1. So we can safely say that the overall population of India would stabilize. Okay, this is what we say because it is close to 2.1, the replacement level. Make sense? Now the thing is, well, if India's population is going to stabilize, you might think of it as good news, but there are 2 problems associated with it. Number 1, If your fertility rate declines way too much, way below 2.1, then that is a problem, because that means that in your society, not many kids are being born, which means the proportion of aged people, senior citizens would rise, and the proportion of youth would be less. Now, this is a problem. Why? Because youth produces wealth and senior citizens are dependent on that wealth. So there would be extra burden because the people who are going to produce India's GDP, the working age population, would be less and the population of dependents would be high. This is an economic problem. India's demographic dividend is going to decline. So we shouldn't allow our total fertility rate to decline way lower than 2.1. Okay? This is problem number one at the national level. But then, if we take a look at regional fertility rates, well, it presents new set of challenges. How? There are some states in India whose fertility rates have declined as low as 1.4. Their population is going to contract. There are certain states in India whose total fertility rate are still higher than 2.1. Their population is going to expand. Now, this regional disparity creates its own set of social, economic, and political challenges. Yes, political challenges, because India is going to perform delimitation in a short while. Okay. Now, southern states have been alleging that their population is declining, so they would lose out on parliamentary seats. This is the political problem. There are economic problems as well. There are societal problems as well. Okay. So, there are two problems. Number one, we can't allow our national total fertility rate to fall way low. And number two, the regional problem. Let's investigate these problems one by one. Okay. This is a huge challenge, demographic challenge. Let's talk about this. So, India's total fertility rate deficit. Okay. So this is the definition of fertility rate, total fertility rate. This is the reproductive age. Okay. And 2.1 is the replacement level. When your TFR is greater than 2.1, well, there is population expansion. And when it is lower than 2.1, there is population contraction, decline. Right? Now, India's total fertility rate is 2.0, which is same as 2.1. We have reached replacement levels. But the problem is regional disparity, which will create problems. And those problems can harm India's unity and integrity. How so? Well, first, let's take a look at regional divergence. Okay. So there are 31 out of 36 states and UTs where total fertility rate has declined considerably. Okay. Urban India's total fertility rate in these 31 states is 1.6. In Andaman and Nicobar, it's 0.9. Their population is going to decline sure shot. And in southern and western states. Okay. So basically, there is a geographical disparity. Urban India's fertility rate has declined. In urban India, people choose to have fewer children. In Andaman and Nicobar Islands, that's a different story. Southern and western states of India are witnessing steep decline in total fertility rate. But there are certain regions in India which are called high fertility zones. 5 states remain above 2.1. Okay. Bihar has the highest, then UP, and there are other states. Plus rural India's total fertility rate. National average of rural India is 2.1. Okay. Now, this high fertility zone, this region will see population explosion also. This region would see population contraction. And this creates a lot of problems. We'll come to those problems, but first let's talk about the reasons behind this decline in total fertility rate. What are the socio-economic drivers of this phenomenon? So, surging female literacy. Female literacy is on the rise, especially in these southern and western states. Now, this is a common phenomena witnessed everywhere in the world. Okay, higher educational attainment of women, okay, directly delays the age of marriage. Their age of marriage gets delayed because of education and expands women's entry into formal workforce. Because now, because of education, delay in marriage, they have a career and they have a flourishing career. Because of that, many females choose to have fewer children. And they can choose also. They don't bow down to family pressure because now they have a career, they have some independence. So they can take their own decisions. So this is the reason. Okay. Then increased contraceptive prevalence rate. Contraceptives like condoms, then tubectomy, vasectomy, and there are many other contraceptive options available that allow couples to have safe sex. or let's not use the word safe sex, but they can delay pregnancies. Okay, this is there. Then there is decline in infant mortality rate. Now this is a thing. In earlier societies, infant mortality rate was really high. Infant mortality means that children die at very young age. Okay, like within 28 days, prenatal, postnatal mortality. This was there. Now, because there was such high levels of infant mortality rate, so on a societal level, people chose to have a lot of children because most of them wouldn't survive. So therefore, they would have a lot of children. Now, infant mortality rate has declined. Now there is very high chance of your child surviving. So you choose to have fewer children. Okay, this is being witnessed. The choice of having fewer children is witnessed in areas which have good healthcare facilities also. That is southern and western states again. Then economic equation shift. Again, women have become more independent and they choose their career over a lot of family responsibilities. And plus, if females choose to have a lot of children, then they would have to sacrifice their careers. That is a choice that is not being made by many females. And even their families are supporting it. So this has changed the equation. Make sense? So these are the socio-economic drivers. Now, what are its implications for India? And this is not good. Consequences for India. Bad consequences for India. Number one, 4-to-1 family strain. Okay? 4 grandparents, 2 parents, and 1 child. If this entire family is having 1 child, all of these people, the previous generation, would become senior citizens. And the entire burden of their economic well-being would fall on this 1 child. Family strain. This causes family strain, family fights also. And this is a problem. Economic shock. Then, well, federal devolution and political friction. You all know that, well, there is this debate on delimitation. If this delimitation exercise happens, then states with higher population would get more seats in Lok Sabha. Yes. Now, southern and western states are saying that in 1970s, the central government gave every state a call to reduce population. We followed your advice, but we are being punished for it because of this delimitation. This is problem. Northern states who did not follow your advice, they are being rewarded for it. This is wrong. This is injustice. This is political injustice. That's what they are alleging. Plus, then this is the political friction part. Then there is this thing called federal devolution. Now, what do you mean by federal devolution? This is really important. You see, center gives money to states in the form of tax sharing and grants. Now, there is a big formula which decides which state will get how much. Now, one variable in that formula is population. So, states with higher population tend to get more money from center. Again, southern states and western states would say that this is injustice. This is related to federal devolution of money. This is a problem. Plus, because these southern and western states have lower population, they would be short of labor. Now, this labor shortage would be compensated for by labor coming from these high population states. Okay. Now, this creates its own set of challenges. Already we have seen that there is this friction, societal friction in Maharashtra and discrimination against Bihari laborers. Then there is discrimination in Punjab, Tamil Nadu also, because local people somehow don't like that too many laborers are coming into their area. This is the challenge in America also with respect to immigration. Similar challenge does exist in India. When labor deficit states invite labor surplus states to provide labor, then this creates societal challenges. These societal challenges would harm India's unity and integrity, and this is going to rise further. Okay. Now, already there are some southern states who are taking remedial steps to stop their population from declining because they are going to lose out politically, financially. Now, what are those examples? Radical shift in state policy. Telangana and Andhra Pradesh have taken a lead. Earlier, what used to be the rule? Well, a couple who has more than 2 children couldn't fight elections in panchayats. This was the rule. You would punish people for having more children. Now you have completely changed it because Telangana and Andhra Pradesh want more children now. Same is the case with Rajasthan. Now, certain states are adopting those policies which would increase total fertility rate, encourage couples to have more children, and increase their population. This is going to happen. And this is what is currently happening. Okay. More and more policies like these you would see in states which have very low total fertility rates. Okay. Some states are panicking. Let's see what happens in future. Okay. All right. That's all as far as this first topic is concerned. Now let's quickly shift our focus to next news item, and that is NFHS 6 Insights on Reproductive Agency. Now, NFHS stands for National Family Health Survey. It's a survey, okay? And it has happened 5 times before. This is the 6th survey that is happening. And it has given us a lot of data on gender empowerment, women empowerment, especially with respect to the decision-making powers that females have with respect to their own reproductive rights. And let me tell you, situation is not at all great. This recent survey reveals that still there are many females in India who take reproductive decisions because of family pressure. They have no agency, okay? They have no decision-making power with respect to their own body. Now, this is a challenge. Where can you find these problems, okay? In which parts of India? How can you remedy these problems? Let's talk about this. So, NFHS 6 Insights on Reproductive Agency. Now, what is the context? The release of National Family Health Survey 6 datasets has brought women's bodily and reproductive autonomy to the center of national policy debates. Reproductive agency. What is the definition of reproductive agency? This definition would come in really handy when you practice mains answers. Is defined as an individual's structural freedom to safely decide whether, when, with whom, and how frequently to bear children. Okay, and this is something that has traditionally been not the domain of a female. Family takes call on these things, which is really wrong. Okay, now first let's talk about this survey, National Family Health Survey. Okay, so this National Family Health Survey, the nodal agency is International Institute for Population Sciences, Mumbai, acting under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So the survey is conducted by this institute in Mumbai, which comes under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. What was the scale of this survey? Surveyed approximately 6.7 lakh households across 715 districts in India, providing a comprehensive localized data model for district level planning. Now, what were the key findings of this survey? Okay, what did we find? So, well, basically through this survey, we found some negative news, but we also found some positive news with respect to gender empowerment, with respect to females. First, let's talk about negative, okay? So what are the key findings? First of all, extreme sterilization gender skew. Now, what is sterilization? Well, people who choose that they are not going to have any more children, well, they go for surgeries. For females, there is tubectomy. Okay, females have tubectomy. Basically, they somehow block their fallopian tubes, so they can't have children now. Okay, and for males, it's vasectomy. Clear? When a family is satisfied that they want to have only two children, they go for tubectomy or vasectomy. That now they can have safe sex and without running the risk of being pregnant. Now there is a gender skew in this. Very few males choose to have vasectomy because there are some societal problems associated with it. Okay, males choose very rarely males choose to have vasectomy. And if a couple wants to decide whether they should go for sterilization or not, they ask their wife to have tubectomy. But males rarely have vasectomy, and the data points to in this direction. Despite the fact that vasectomy is safer, still they force their females to have tubectomy if they have taken this call. This is a problem. Then, still there are cases of early marriages. Nationally, 20% of women aged 20 to 24 were married before the legal age of 18. There were cases, 20% of females surveyed were cases of child marriage. Now, whenever there is a case of child marriage, those females don't have good education eventually because now they're married. The age of education, higher education was that only when they got married. So generally, those females won't have higher education, won't have higher good paying jobs, careers, and they would be dependent on their families, in-laws, and hence they don't have any reproductive agency. They would do what their in-laws will tell them to do. Across rural hinterland, this metric rises to 23.3%. So national average is 20, rural is 23.3. Same as previous family health survey. So there has been no improvement in this area with respect to child marriage. This is bad. Then adolescent pregnancy burden. Adolescent, 13 to 19 years of age. This is adolescent age. Pregnancy in this age bracket is on the rise. And this is again problematic. 6.7% of young girls aged between 15 to 19 were already mothers or pregnant at the time of the survey, peaking at 7.9% in rural areas. Problem. Okay. Regression to less effective traditional methods. Now you see, this is a really big problem. Well, if a couple wants or decides to have no more children, okay, they can go for contraception. Now there are modern methods of contraception like condoms or contraceptives, surgeries, tubectomy, vasectomy. Well, what this survey witnessed was that people are not going for modern methods of contraception. They are going for traditional age-old methods of contraception like timing, okay, period timing, and all these things. There were traditional methods also. People are moving more towards traditional methods. This is not safe, and this risks, I mean, they run a high risk of unplanned pregnancies. So this is a problem. Okay. Now, these are some negative news items or negative findings. Let's go to the positive ones. So what are the positive ones? In a household, females' decision-making power has increased. 89% of married women now actively participate in major household choices. Okay. And this is because, well, the balance of power has shifted. Many females are working now. They have financial autonomy. They earn more money. They contribute towards the finances of the household. So this is there. Then because of government efforts, there is financial inclusion. Females have bank accounts. Many of the government subsidies are credited to the bank account of females only, not male members. So this is there. Then digital literacy. Then government has really done a lot to improve menstrual hygiene. Okay. Sanitary pads. Access to sanitary pads has been increased and promoted by the government. In fact, there was a movie by Akshay Kumar, Bollywood actor, called Padman to promote this. And cases of domestic violence have declined from the previous National Family Health Survey, 5. So these are some positive findings. Clear? Now, what is the way forward? Okay. First of all, up till now, there have been family campaigns, okay, family planning campaigns by the government, but they are more female centric. They ask females to do certain things. Family ads or family planning ads should be now more male centric. Put more burden on males for these things, okay. Then they would opt for, if you would generate more awareness that vasectomy is safer, then more and more males would choose to have vasectomy, okay. Strict enforcement of Prevention of Child Marriage Act. 20% of females are still being married off at below 18 years of age. That is a clear-cut violation of this law, Prevention of Child Marriage Act. Now, that means you're not implementing this law properly. So, implement this law properly. Then, expanding the contraceptive basket. Okay? Include more and more contraceptive alternatives and improve the access of these contraceptives to remotest of the regions in India. This should be there. Use Anganwadi centers for that if need arises. Okay. So this is the way forward. That's about it. Now let's quickly shift our focus to next news item, and that is telemedicine equity dividend. Now this is really fascinating. It's a short news item, but you'll understand this very easily. You see, healthcare is a big challenge in India. And there are many challenges, by the way. But one challenge is that good quality hospitals are available only in big urban centers. And good quality healthcare is not available in rural areas, plus in remote rural areas. Okay, people residing in remote rural areas do not have access to good quality hospitals, hence they do not have access to good quality healthcare, hence, well, their basic right to life is getting violated. Okay, now one solution for that was improving the number of hospitals in India. Expanding the branches of good quality hospitals in different parts of the country. That is an expensive option. There is a cheaper option available, and technology has helped us in that area. And that cheaper option is telemedicine. If you do not have a good hospital in your locality and you are not rich enough or well financially capable enough to travel to far off places for healthcare, okay, well, you can avail the safe option of telemedicine. What is telemedicine? If you can't go to a hospital, well, you can have a video call with your doctor. That is telemedicine. That's it. Now, technology is there. There is WhatsApp video call. There are Google Meets. There are so many options available. Now, you can basically consult your doctor without going to him via video call. And that is a very good option. Because of this video call technology, because of this telemedicine option, well, you can provide healthcare access, good quality doctors. Their opinion can be given to, well, people residing in remotest corners of the country. And this was realized by the government. Therefore, they created a portal called eSanjeevani. eSanjeevani is a portal where you will get access to doctors via telemedicine. So let's talk about how eSanjeevani has improved access to healthcare in all parts of the country. So let's talk about it very quickly, okay? So telemedicine equity dividend. Equity means, well, each and everyone is getting access to healthcare. So India deepens its commitment to Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, National Digital Health Framework. Now, data from Ministry of Health reveals that India's national telemedicine service, eSanjeevani, has registered a record 34 crore people, 34 crore consultations. Crucially, women account for 57% of these consultations. This is good news. Okay. Now, eSanjeevani model has two branches. One is eSanjeevani OPD. You directly download the app, smartphone app, and consult your doctor. But for that, you need to be more tech savvy. Okay. Rural people in some parts of the country are not that tech savvy. So what do? Well, in their village, there is, well, health and wellness centers or primary healthcare center or a community center. Over there, you find Anganwadi workers. Okay. Now, under Ayushman Bharat, well, what you'll do is you'll go to this health and wellness center in your village. That health and wellness center would have a computer. Okay. The Anganwadi workers would connect you to a doctor in a city for consultation. If you're not that tech savvy to download an app, to book an appointment and all, these people will do that for you. So this is the delivery model of eSanjeevani. Now, what are the benefits of this? Well, 77% of qualified medical specialists practice in urban areas. Over 65% of the population resides in rural areas. There is a gap. Okay, that gap is bridged by telemedicine. How? Overcoming gender-specific mobility barriers. Already the hospital is in a far-off place. Plus, there is a patriarchal mindset in villages also. You don't allow your females to travel that far alone. And the male person is working somewhere. So, this problem has been solved now. Then, it also reduces your out-of-pocket expenditure, because earlier what you had to do was you had to travel to a city. There were traveling expenses. Then you had to stay there for 1 or 2 days. There were expenses over there. So these expenses were really problematic, and that's why many people chose not to go to cities and solve the problem with local quacks, local doctors who were pretending to be doctors. Okay. Now that is no longer a problem. You don't have to go anywhere. Your expenditure comes down. You just can consult in your own village, sitting in your own village. And dignity and freedom from social stigma. There are certain sexual problems that both males and females face, and they don't want to discuss about that in public. Yes, sexual reproductive problems. There is a social stigma attached to it. Therefore, people are really afraid to discuss this in a public setting, in a government hospital OPD where many other people are listening also. So this problem gets solved through telemedicine, because through a video call, the only people who are listening is you and your doctor. Now you will feel more safe. Yes. So these have been the benefits. Plus, now this eSanjeevani app has been attached with, well, AI. Okay. Decision support system, clinical decision support system. So doctors are also getting the benefit of AI. So whenever doctors are confused, they can use the services of these AI models to come to a very good decision. So this is a benefit also. eSanjeevani is now AI integrated. Clear? Now, yes, there are some challenges. Okay, very easy. For example, many doctors for promotion, government doctors for promotion, well, they don't do many consultations, but they show that they have done a lot of consultations. Okay, ghost consultation. This is a problem. To show that there are, I have consulted I have served so many people. Then there are, most of these apps have English language, and many rural areas are not comfortable with this. So there is language trap. And then there is already shortage of certain qualified doctors in certain fields, like cancer specialists are very rare. So if you want to consult cancer specialist via telemedicine, there is very long queue, waiting time. So this is there. These are some of the challenges. Then there is some way forward. You can easily understand. Clear? And that would be all. With that, we conclude today's session. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure you enjoyed this session. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation also. But if you want to add more value, you have to be consistent and regular with this lecture series. Plus, you have to revise this lecture from the notes provided by us. The notes are provided on our Telegram channel, and the link to our Telegram channel is in the comment section below. But do revise this from the notes. Otherwise, you'll forget these current affairs in a matter of a couple of days. So solidify these current affairs in your memory, revise them from the notes. On that note, I shall take your leave with the promise of seeing you again with another lecture on current affairs. Thank you, everyone.